What's up, America, and welcome to the OH.Report video podcast in a very special celebration today, of course, for MLK Day. So all of you out there enjoying the civil liberties that we have come to know, glad that you could join us on this snowy Monday. My name is Brian Skronsky, back up popping with the crew. That's right, everyone's back, and we got a lot to talk about today, including a wild card weekend now in the NFL. It's not just like a day, it's like a full 3-day extravaganza. So we're going to dive into that, tell you who we thought was the best of the best over the weekend. We'll also make a pick for tonight's Monday night game, and then let you know who we think has the best broadcast of all the big boys, the NFL, or the NFL Network, CBS, NBC. We'll fill you in who we think is the best out there. On the local level, which boys team do we have the most faith in making a deep tournament run? We will debate today. Who has the best point guard in the area? I think we all kind of know the answer to that one, but we'll talk about it anyways. And then man versus zone, the great debate. Who likes which side of that equation? All of that is what we're going to be talking about soon. So let's meet the crew. Let's begin with the Steelers fans first. We've got Hannibal Hayden Gray over here next to Big League Travis Berardi. Tell the folks something they need to know.
First, it was thank you, Ben. Thank you, Seven. Final game ever. Final touchdown pass in the second half. I know Browns fans rejoice because maybe you have more than 3 wins in the next 10 years against the Steelers. But anyway, it was, came in, like I said last week, they're probably going to get boat race. They got boat race, so, it was nice to at least have my Steeler jersey on one final time for the year before putting it away in mothballs until next September when fantasy football comes around. But other than that, exciting week ahead.
Yeah, and I know another last place finish for you in fantasy football this year, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations to that.
However, on the pick'em, I won some good money that you and I were in.
That's
so,
right, babe. We're going to take our good luck for that to Las Vegas, Nevada. So looking forward to that here in a couple of months.
I can pick games, but I can't pick players, I guess. It happens.
Hayden, tell the folks at home something that they probably need to hear.
I won second place in my fantasy league this year, so I'm happy with that. So maybe I can teach Travis a little bit about fantasy football.
Congratulations on beating your mom and your sister in your league.
Oh, all right. So a family affair there. So we heard from them. Now let's go over to the ambiguously round duo, G-Man and Storm. What up, fellas?
What's up, Brian? Nothing much.
Hi. And you hanging out with your boy, Dwayne, today?
Rock eyebrow today going on. This one's signed. Yeah, signed.
Whoa.
Eyebrow.
People's eyebrow, actually. Get it right. Get it right. Come on.
All right, guys. So an exciting wild card weekend wraps up tonight. But of the teams that we've seen so far, Hayden, who would you say has impressed you the most up to this point?
It's been tough. I didn't watch a ton of action on Friday or on Saturday, being out at games. So from what I did go back and see, neither of those games really surprised me, I guess. I think the teams that were supposed to won those games. So I think out of the field, I took the 49ers. Not that I was super high on the Cowboys. I think they still have some gaps that don't make you want to believe they're a real contender. But I guess I'm just surprised because the 49ers kind of had some dumpy plays this year. That's a new one for you. I don't know. They've gone back and forth at quarterback. I never really felt like I heard much talked about them other than Nick Bosa, but here they are, an impressive win, so they take my pick for most impressive. Travis.
Okay.
I'm going to go with another team that had the first ever perfect offensive game in postseason history, and that is the Buffalo Bills.
Come on.
7 possessions, 7 touchdowns, and then their final possession, they kneeled on it because that ended the game, so it didn't count. But a perfect offensive game against the Patriots, who had a pretty darn good defense, and they just completely steamrolled poor Bill Belichick and company. You lose Tom Brady, and then I guess you just lose your playoff mojo. But the Bills really impressive, and they're my pick to win the AFC now.
This was an easy pick. How could you not go with the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah.
0 punts, 0 fourth downs, 0 field goals in this game, 0 turnovers. No team in NFL history has ever done what they just did. They picked off the rookie 2 times. They got after him. 3 sacks on the game. Like you said, it was almost a perfect performance. 7 for 7, scoring touchdowns. All the talk about Josh Allen, he's a California guy. It's going to be the coldest game in the history, or one of them. How are they going to perform? How about perfectly? And I believe, Travis, actually, you made that comment to me.
Yeah.
We were hearing about that, and you're like, yeah, watch him go out and throw for 5-6 touchdowns a day. How about he did exactly that? The Buffalo Bills, easily the most impressive. G-Man, try to tell me I'm wrong.
Well, it's hard to disagree, but I mean, I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals. It's more of not a
wild card weekend pick, I guess. More of a season pick for me. I don't think anybody picked them to win over 6 games. They won the AFC North in a very tight contest. It was supposed to be the Browns and the Ravens in that division. It ended up being the Steelers and Cincy making playoffs. And man, Joe Burrow, he's for real. Joey franchise is definitely the real deal down there. He's the savior for Cincinnati. That's their first playoff win since 1991. And I think they're going to go on the road and upset the Titans, and I think they're going to be playing in the AFC Championship. So, man, when it's 31 years and you need it on the line, Joe Burrow got it done. And I think Cincinnati might have a case to make it Super Bowl.
You see my man smoking the
Joe
cigar
Burrow.
again, too. He's becoming a little bit iconic. He had those glasses, too, in the post-game interview, and I love this answer. Yo, Joe, what's up with the glasses? I just think they look pretty cool.
Just because.
Pretty cool, Storm, huh?
Yeah, man, Joe Shiesty is that guy. Just like G-Man said.
Yeah. Whoa.
Joe Shiesty.
I would use the Lions quarterback. And they played a tough opponent. I mean, the Raiders, they're no slouch. They had a chip on their shoulder coming into this one. And, I mean, Joe Burrow and the boys just went back to Cincinnati, and they took care of business. And for a team that hasn't won a playoff game in a long, long time, they look really good.
Yeah, I got to admit, I'm pretty happy for Joe Shiesty, as I now know that he's nicknamed in the Bengals. Let's give it up for them a little bit. You know, happy to see them moving on. Congratulations to the other team in Ohio outside of my Browns getting it done. So obviously, there's lots of ways to indulge in the NFL these games, fellas. You know, you got the NBCs, the ESPNs, the NFL networks, the CBSs, the Fox. But of all of those, G-Man, which do you think does it best? Who has your favorite telecast to watch?
See, I can't just pick one. I gotta nitpick from each one. I'm very picky when it comes to my broadcast. I'm not a fan of CBS at all. I'm very scoreboard heavy, I guess, on what it looks like, and I really do not like.
It's too simple, right?
I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's too yeah.
Too much bland.
Uh-huh.
There's no design to it at all. For me personally, I love Fox's music. Like that.
Oh,
makes
that's
me
iconic.
wanna go to the wall, and I'm not sure why. The ESPN, I think, has some of the slickest graphics, like the motion graphics they have. I remember when the Vikings played the Bears, they had Kirk walking through a forest, and he hadn't beat the Bears in like 4 years or something, and they was like scratching and clawing at him. And then I think for my commentary, I'm gonna go with Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. I don't know how you can, two of the icons in the sports commentary business. So I guess I'm picking from each one. I can't pick one just by itself. So I guess a couple.
He just likes the NFL in general, it sounds like. And who doesn't like watching it? But Storm, narrow it down for me, baby. Who's got the best?
Honestly, I don't watch a whole lot of professional football, and I can't really tell the difference. I like when they have the kind of out there, outlandish graphics, like you were talking about, Garret. Yeah, like doing the gritty and stuff. But a thing that I actually figured out that I did love a lot this year, not one of these big guys, it's kind of a combination of all of them. I really like NFL Red Zone. As a fan of the Lions, I can't sit through an entire Lions game, but if I can just kind of watch all of the NFL and what they're doing, you know, that's kind of what I like.
Yeah, Red Zone, obviously.
Yes.
I would put it up there like 20 greatest creations of all time in the history of America. I think that's a fair way to categorize
Well, especially
it.
with fantasy football, I got to watch my terrible last place team once again, but I got to see all my players not score touchdowns and everybody I'm playing against score touchdowns. But you know, Scott Hansen was funny too. On Saturday afternoon, he was in his living room with all his 5 TVs on the Bengals game. He goes, 10 hours of commercial-filled football coming right at you, pointing at it because, you know, everybody still misses him. And if only they had a red zone for the playoffs where all the playoff games are going on at once, I think I would be in heaven. But time slots and money.
So you can watch the entire thing.
Yeah.
But when you do watch the entire game, who's got the best broadcast for you?
NBC, by far. The graphics are great. The 2 commentators. There's this funny thing. There's NBC. Now here's a network that knows how to do their football. You got Collinsworth with some good color commentary. Al Michaels has some of the greatest calls in
One of the goats.
in NFL history
there he
and
is.
sports history as well. There he is. Great sideline reporting. And I mean, the theme song, Carrie Underwood. You hear her come on, you know it's Sunday Night Football. Like, they have the whole together. NBC's got it going on.
Yeah, we're talking about those quads with that voice. And that's just to start off the night. I've been waiting all day for a Sunday night.
It's
Yeah,
about
that
30
gets you
times
ready.
better when she sings it, though, folks.
Just a little bit better. I don't want to go too far out. But yeah, Michelle Tafoya, one of the goats on the
Exactly,
sideline. I
yep.
think she might be my favorite sideline NFL reporter. She's so smooth. I've never heard her stumble over a word. She perfectly crafts her post-game questions too. So I'm with you. NBC is my favorite, and they do some pretty neat stuff. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they were the first to roll out the spider cam and then do the NBC it. So they've been doing next level stuff. How about all the players coming out and introducing themselves?
Yep.
Brian Skoronsky, Muffin County High School. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. So they're trendsetters, and I think they do it better than anybody else. Even though you see some of them cool graphics, like G-Man said, ESPN does always have some phenomenal ways to showcase how teams and players are performing. So I'd give them the nod on creativity, but NBC, they've been ahead of the game.
But they
forever.
don't got a guy like Al Michaels. You know, I like a good scene setter. Al Michaels can set a scene for anything. He could set a scene for G-Man at dinner, and people would be interested in it.
Okay, Hayden, where do you land?
For me, I put those graphics up there from ESPN because I think that's honestly my favorite part from when I watch ESPN broadcasts. I like them for a full experience just because you're used to when you're watching things on ESPN, you got the ticker for all the other sports going on. So I think just as someone who's constantly thinking about a bunch of other contests at one time, I like that. But NBC, as we've been talking about for nostalgia, I mean, you said it the best. You know, they're trendsetters for a ton of things, and I can just always remember, you know, there's a lot of jokes and memes sometimes where, like, when you hear that Sunday Night Football music, you're thinking about all the stuff you didn't get done that day, but it doesn't matter because that music's on. Yep. I mean, it's just you get sent into another reality when that music comes on. So, and like you said, I mean, Michelle Tafoya too. I got a lot I could learn. She's a goat.
Yeah, Super Bowl's going to be your last day on the job. I'm with you. All right. Well, for the first time, I think, ever in the playoffs, we're going to get a Monday night game coming up tonight. It's going to be the Cardinals on the road in Los Angeles at that beautiful new stadium that's going to be hosting the Super Bowl, SoFi. So who you got, Hayden? Who's your pick for tonight?
I picked the Rams tonight. I think if we would have looked at this earlier in the year, it might have been more of a difficulty for us to choose. But the way the Cardinals have been trending with injuries, Garrett and I were talking about, don't think D. Hopkins back tonight. So the way the Rams have been playing, it kind of feels like a younger – I mean, it's still – there's more for Stafford's legacy tonight, and I think that fuels a lot of guys. So, and I also said because of that guy, Cooper Kupp, what a year from him. So I think the Rams are just going to be too strong tonight.
I think we're all going that way, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, when Stafford signed with the Rams, they had that trade. I'm like, they are a legit Super Bowl contender with the guys they have on defense coming back. They had Robert Woods, too. It was tough that he got hurt, but they got a couple good running backs, great defense. Now that you have Matt Stafford who can sling it around, once he's actually on a good team, Starry Storm. But I think they have a chance. And it'll be them, I think, and the Packers in the NFC Championship.
I think Von Miller had a great quote, and he's just the latest All-Pro that they brought in, and he said earlier this week, walking around his locker room's like being part of the Pro Bowl because there are so many guys in that locker room that have played in the Pro Bowl with them. So there's just way too much talent. Cooper Kupp's almost at like 2,000 yards on the season. He's probably the best wide receiver in football right now. We keep showing us highlights, and
did he end up with the Triple Crown?
I don't.
Catches, yards, and touchdowns, or did somebody
catches and yards? I'm almost positive
Yeah.
he did. I don't know about touchdowns though. So maybe drop us a line on the Facebook if you guys know the answer to that one. But just all the different guys that they have. You know, they brought in Beckham. I mentioned Von Miller, and then all the other pieces that they had with the Stafford being there, Donald. Just too many good players. I don't see the Cardinals having any chance tonight.
Cardinals are just a little too inconsistent for my taste. Kyler Murray, he has kind of proved himself this season, but I don't know. It's almost like he plays down to his opponents a lot of the times, and when you lose to the Lions, it's kind of hard for me to pick against you, or to pick for you, excuse me.
So that's pretty easy pick, I think. So we've established the Rams got a ton of talent. And then here in the area, I want to talk about some talent out on the local boys basketball hardwood. And this all started for me with a conversation. I'm in a little group chat with a few other media members in the area. And then I bumped into one of them. I'll go ahead and name him, Zach Holden, who was just trying to tell me after the Colonel Crawford win over Lexington that there is just no player in the area quite like Mason Studer, that he is bar none the best point guard, to which I instantly said, bro, you would not trade Luke Dembo for him in a millisecond. And I don't think any of us are going to either. So the question posed here today from me, fellas, I guess we'll just put it like this. Luke Dembo, is that the best point guard that we have, period, in North Central Ohio? Maybe one of the best in the state. G-Man, we'll let you kick off the combo.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with Luke Dembo. I think he's the best point guard in the area, and I don't think it's just because of, his scoring and his passing. I think it's more of his intangibles. I love his moxie, and he's always talking trash, man, during the game, and that's awesome to see at the high school level. Obviously, the all-time leader in the Ashland Arrows leading scorer in history. And I think for a coach to have some guy on the floor that he can put that kind of trust in, even if he's getting guarded by a great defender, he can always put it on the deck and go get a bucket when they need it. He put up 37 against Lexington, a big OCC rival. So I think Luke Dembo, I think he's my favorite player to watch. Not only the best point guard in the area, but I'm definitely going Luke Dembo. And I really don't know if it's close.
He's definitely worth the price of admission. You mentioned the 37 that we've seen on the OH.Report that Hayden got to watch up close and personal. How about the very next night? He went over that, and he tied the school record with 42 points. So when you just start adding those up over the course of a weekend, dude just dropped 80, Storm. Is that why he's the best in the area?
Yeah, clear cut. I don't think it's even close. He can be so crafty on the inside, and he can step outside. The dude likes any shot across from half-court line. His confidence is unmatched by anyone. Like Garret said, all-time leader in school history. I mean, when you have that title, you're something special. And he demands a lot of attention from defenses. I mean, when you're getting double teamed or something like that, you also need a guard who can go out and orchestrate and facilitate and get the ball into the hands of his teammates. And he does that. I believe it's Djurdjevic down low for them, and that pick and roll game with them two is just absolutely nasty. So I mean, Luke Dembo by far.
So maybe we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this. I'll drop a few more numbers and nuggets for you guys. How about 28 points a game? I believe leads the entire area, over 6 assists and 6 rebounds. You going another way though, Trev?
We've seen in quite some time, but I broke it up into big school and small school, but because you still need to appreciate the way that Mason Studer plays, because if not for Luke Dembo, Mason Studer would be the best point guard in the area. But
fair,
Luke Dembo is there. So I want to give at least a little bit of a shout out to Mason Studer. One of the main reasons why Colonel Crawford is state number 2 and undefeated, and they were able to knock off Lexington. But yeah, it's Dembo by far. But Studer, got to give him some love as well.
He's a PG2 for sure in our area.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we've pretty much said virtually every statistic that I knew or was going to go over, but I'll just talk about him from a mentality standpoint. Watching him play, as Garret talked about on Friday against Lexington, I mean, I just remember sitting there, and every time the dude touches the ball, I'm making sure that I'm hitting record because I don't know what he's going to do. It's not just the points, his handles. It was almost so much, his level is even that higher of his competition and some of his teammates in the most respectful way. There were some plays that could have been made that weren't, just because I think it was too good and people were just caught looking at it. Some behind-the-back passes, a lot of no-look passes that didn't connect. There would have been even more highlights. So I just think he comes at the game in a very high IQ level way. In our interview, we talked about there was a lot of hype going into that game. For him, that was just a regular Friday night playing a game. Obviously, he takes it serious, but there was not really that, we just won the Super Bowl, we beat Lexington. Nah, that was expected for him. He said the only thing on his mind is the OCC, not thinking ahead. They want to go farther, but he said he's only concerned about the league right now. So I think they're definitely a team to not take eyes off, and he's going to have a bright future moving on past high school as well.
Yeah, committed to West Liberty,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. So going to be playing
Yeah.
D1 and deserved. The kid's a monster. So, we've established Dembo, best point guard that we have in the area. But the best team, collectively, Travis, who you believing in when we start getting beyond February? Who's going to still be dancing in March?
Well, I think two of the teams that you and I saw on Saturday night, Lexington and Colonel Crawford, but I'm going to add Western Reserve in there. It stinks that these two teams, they're both state ranked, number 2 and number 8, but they're in the same district. So, it's whoever's going to come out of there, I think, has a really legit shot. And then the other team, like I said, being the Lexington, they're just so tall, they're so big, athletic, and, they have the ability to put up points on any given night, but they just run into two pretty big buzzsaws in the last two games in Ashland and in Colonel Crawford. But I think the Minutemen, just the way they play defense as well, they have another chance to making it through the district and have a chance. You never know with that team, Scott Hamilton's team. Once you get out of a district, just one good game against somebody, the game plan that Scott Hamilton has, they can make it through another regional, maybe get it back to Dayton. But those are the three teams, I think. The winner of Crawford, Western, and then Lexington.
I really look forward to seeing what Western Reserve does the rest of the season. They could finish undefeated, I think, on the year heading into the tournament.
Downey and Crawford.
And so could Colonel Crawford when the Sheldon Bowl potentially happens in the playoffs. That could be awesome.
Yeah, I think Colonel Crawford's a lock for me. So the sleeper team, or not really sleeper, but the maybe team that I'm going to talk about is Ashland. And I've seen one game of theirs in person, but looking back at games they have played so far this season, we obviously just got done talking about Luke Dembo the whole time, but I think they are so much more than that. You have Sturry, you have Jerkovic with a big size in the post, and talking to Dembo about the style they like to play. They started off slow against Lexington and still won by that wide margin of victory, and he talks about they're in an offense that loves to get that rebound, one pass, and they're constantly moving. So I think they're a team that's built for having to go out and play those schools in a tough district like they have, and win games, because I think they have depth. They're well coached, and I'll be excited to see that. I personally, after watching them dismantle Lexington, I don't like to say these kind of things sometimes because, high school fan bases are passionate, and I love that. For the purpose of this, I'm not too high on Lexington making a case for Dayton whatsoever. I don't think height equals wins. They barely played the 6-7 or whatever they have against Ashland.
Got two of them.
Two. They barely played them. And I don't know. I've seen them lose to too many teams that aren't going to go as far as someone like Ashland. I've seen them lose to Shelby, so we'll see.
Ashland's a tough one, though. They're in Division One.
Yeah, they got to go to Toledo.
Right.
Yeah, they got some
tough.
tough one. I mean,
but I don't know. I'm not bought on Lexington. Their play was very, very sloppy against Ashland, and they.
Hey, Luke Dembo, you want some bulletin board material?
Luke
Y'all
Dembo
ain't
made
getting
him
out the
look silly.
districts. No way, no how, no regional for you. D1's too big, I think. You're the best player in the area, but not outside of here. What do you think, G?
Well, I'm going with Colonel Crawford. I said this for a couple weeks now. I think they have the best opportunity to make a deep postseason run, and I think you guys have nailed it really on the head. Mason Studer and then Valentine, I mean, they're two of the best players in the area, and I think when you have coaching, I think definitely in the postseason and high school hoops, it goes a long way, and I think Coach Sheldon is one of the best in the area. But I might add, as you mentioned, Travis, about Western Reserve, I did see them against Mapleton, and they survived that one. They almost lost, but I think Jude Moons, he's one of the better players I've seen as well. They got to find a second guy, and I think if they do find a second guy, they could also make a run. But right now, I think Colonel Crawford has the edge, and I'm going to take them.
well, something about Western too is, looking for the stats leaders and everything. Western has some guys that are able to make it into the top 10 of those categories, but they don't need it because they're so balanced. They have 4 or 5 guys that will average 10 points a night, average 5-6 rebounds a night. So even if even if Jude Benz has an off night, somebody else can pick up the slack for him. And I think that's key when you get into the tournament time, is if somebody has an off night, somebody can pick up the slack for them and, continue that offensive output.
I'm going to go with Colonel Crawford. I believe everyone has pretty much said everything that I could say. But, I mean, they're just really good. They knocked off Lexington, and, they proved it. They proved that they're the real deal. And like Garrett was talking about, their coaching is phenomenal. And I think at the high school level, coaching matters a lot more than what people might think. So I'm going to pick Colonel Crawford as well.
I feel like most of our topics today are just like simple, easy ones. Maybe we need to look a little bit deeper into some of these topics, because this is a very easy choice for me too. David Sheldon, the most winningest coach in the history of Colonel Crawford. They got 2 of the best players in the history of the program playing for him right now. Probably both going to be first-team All-Ohio selections. They're outscoring the competition right now by 26 per game, and they do test themselves outside of the Division III, Division IV level. That's what I like about them. I know Ontario's really down, but they're going to play them. They just played Lexington, beat them. They're going to play Waverly. They played Canton on the road, too. So David Sheldon knows what he's doing. I think that's the easy, simple pick in Division III to make a deep run. So look for the Eagles to be flying, I think, into the regionals, unless another Sheldon has something to say about it. That's what's going to be. I can't wait for that game. Let's just go ahead and pencil it in, can't we?
I hope so,
That'd be
but we
fun.
wanted that the last 2 years, and something's gone wrong.
We did.
So
but Willard tends to shake things up.
Well, in
out
Eastwood
there.
the year before with Chris Sheldon's squad.
All right, guys. Our final debate of the day, and it's a big one, I think. Man-to-man defense or zone defense. Both have their beautiful qualities, but only one can be your choice. G-Man, where do you fall on this? What's the better style of defense?
I'm going man-to-man, and I definitely could never play man-to-man defense. When I play basketball, I'm too fat, and it takes a lot more work than zone, and that's one of the reasons I'm going with it, because I feel like zone forces the basketball to really slow down. I mean, it works for a defensive team that can struggle in the offensive side of the ball. It slows things down. I think it limits the kind of flashy plays that I like to see covering some of these games, and they call it lazy man's defense. And I'm already lazy enough, so I can't pick a zone. I got to go with man-to-man, and I think it forces more highlight plays. Derrick Rose step back right there, and Brandon Jennings for the win. But it forces you to shoot more threes from a zone standpoint, and you don't really get to drive to the hoop and make some acrobatic layups. So I'm going to go with man-to-man defense. I think it's a harder defense to play, and I think it makes you a better defender than playing lazy man zone.
All your points basically just point towards the offense having success, G-Man, but we'll go with it. What do you got for me, Storm?
I agree. Zone is a lazy man's defense. It's a cop-out defense. It's just, I don't know. It's boring as a spectator to watch. It's not fun to play against. The NBA actually had it banned for a long time, and nobody really liked it. Nobody still likes it, I don't think. I really only think you run a zone when you know that you can't go toe-to-toe. It's kind of – you're kind of playing the coward card a little bit, I feel like, when you play zone defense. It's like, well, we're just going to cheat, and you're going to have to shoot threes to beat us, which is very lame, actually, in my opinion.
That sounds like a great strategy to me. Let me go ahead and I'm going to put both hats on, because I think that the best coaches, the ones that actually do it right, are the ones that they mix and match. They got a full bag of tricks. Yeah, they'll go man-to-man for one possession, but then you'll come down the next one. Oh, my gosh, now we're looking at a 1-3-1 zone. Then you come down the next possession. Oh, my gosh, now it's a 2-3 zone. We have to keep thinking. Now they're back to the man-to-man. Now they're in a full-court man-to-man. Now they're sitting back in 50. So if you just keep mixing it up, that's what the best coaches do, and I have a lot of respect for the coaches that can just do one, a la Jim Boeheim. I know that we got a Syracuse fan here in the house. If you can just stick with your one defense and you perfect it and that's all you work on, that's cool, but there's not very many teams out there that can do it, or like what we saw year in and year out with Joe Baylog over at Ontario. They would just man you up on the perimeter, and there wasn't a lot that you could do about it. So I really think that this great debate comes down to being able to do both. I don't think there is a better one, even though I think both of you guys, even though you went with man-to-man, you make great cases for why zone defense is better, because it does force you to be a little bit more of a gifted athlete in terms of your shooting ability. It clogs up the paint, whereas man-to-man, you can kind of go to work if you're a really gifted guy one-on-one. What do you think, Hayden?
I agree as a spectator. I think that's why, I want to toss these highlights in there, because as a spectator, you don't get moments like these when you're sitting in a zone. And I think it might be different, though, because it depends what level we're talking about it at. At the high school level, we may not be getting plays like we're taking a look at here at the professional level. But I do – so while I chose man-to-man, I do agree with you, though, Brian. I think it takes – I could never probably play a zone because my basketball IQ is not high enough to remember where I'm supposed to be. But I don't think it's a cop-out at all. I think it's actually more talented if you can switch defenses, like you said. And that's
Agreed.
Actually something, we were just talking about great coaches. Shelby the other night, their girls' game, you look at all the success they're having this season. When I was at their game Saturday, I haven't seen them play a zone at any game I've been at for an extended period of time so far this season. They ran most of the second half in a zone. And while it's struggled for a little bit, once it started clicking for them, I mean, it's kind of like when we talked about the shot clock. Why not force someone to do something that you want? I would say that's winning. And if you have a team that can't shoot threes very well, run that zone, you're going to be winning, forcing them to shoot that three. So I don't see any problem with running a zone. I don't think it's a cop-out.
Sometimes it's just easier, I think, to see it like drawn up and kind of like on the whiteboard. So let's go ahead and bring in our resident coach. Big League, take it away, man.
Here, I need two hands. Hold this for me. It's the zone. It's got to be the zone, and I'm not even talking about the 2-3 zone. I'm talking about the 1-3-1 zone. It's chaos. It creates chaos because you dribble the ball up here, bam, you get trapped. You skip it over here, bam, you're trapped again. You get it down here, bam, you're trapped again. Lots of traps, lots of chaos.
Where do we go?
Where do you go? That's what offenses don't do. If you run a good 1-3-1 zone, a la Bob Huggins when we went to the Final Four back in 2010, what did he do? He ran the trap.
The Final Four back in 2010.
You trap in the corners, you trap up front, You create turnovers, you create chaos, and you get the dub. And that's what happens when you run a good zone.
Because you're running a 1-3-1 zone.
There you go. Pretty good case for the zone, I guess.
The two big guys over here, they can't run a zone because they're not conditioned enough to do that. So that's why they hate it.
Standing around doing nothing.
Oh, you got to move on a zone. A 1-3-1. The guy in the back is the most athletic guy because he has to run from sideline to sideline to get the trap. The guy's out front. Got to go sideline to sideline to get the trap. Your wings, you have to be constantly moving to do that. But you guys wouldn't know that because you two stood around in a zone.
Ooh.
I can't make a rebuttal, man, because I don't have a mic.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our show for today. So we'd love to hear from you out there, all you great basketball fans. Where do you land? Man-to-man, zone? Which is the better defense? And real quick, we'd like to give a happy heavenly birthday shout out to Cleveland's original OG. How about Betty White? Would have turned 100 years old today. So we salute you, Betty. What a gift she was to everybody in the entire universe, especially right here in America and more exclusively the great city of Cleveland. We're glad to call you our own. I would also like to say here publicly a final goodbye to my good friend Chance Rooney, our dog, who would be turning 13 here in a couple of weeks. That's my great-looking boy right there. He went off to doggy heaven a couple of days ago, so it was an emotional weekend for us at the Skronsky household, and I know everybody here on the OH Report has had a chance to hang out with the boy Chance. G-Man and Storm have sat my crib and actually had an opportunity to over Christmas to spend some time with him. So if you got any stories that you'd like to share about the homie Chance, we'll open it up.
I remember sitting over the summer, and
I was hanging out, and Garret hadn't got there yet. And when Garret showed up, Chance literally was in love with you. Like, all he wanted to do was be by G-Man the entire time, get pet by G-Man. Anytime we were in the living room, he was right next to G-Man. And I just remember thinking that was the funniest thing. We would just try to be sitting there relaxing, and he'd come up, and he would just love all over G-Man. It was hilarious.
Yeah, he wouldn't let you put your hand down. As soon as you put your hand down, he'd stick his
just
nose
nudge
underneath
it.
your hand, and then you just have to keep petting
He
him.
would
And I would
force
feel
you to pet
obligated
him.
to have to, so I had to. So yeah, I'm gonna miss Chance. He's a good little guy.
Yeah, he was a great dog. Everybody that's come in contact with him has a very great high opinion of him because he just loved people and he would force you to pet him. So it was good knowing you, Chance Rooney. Look forward to seeing you when we get into our second life up there in heaven. I'm sure that you're chasing around some squirrels and catching them like you did in this picture. That was a really impressive feat that day, too. Caught a squirrel jumping off of a tree in midair. I swear. And then he sat there and posed with it.
Coordination and G and Storm combined. Air Chance.
All right, and I would like to wrap up today's show as well with a little quote that I looked up from the dude, Martin Luther King Jr., because it is his day. Darkness cannot drive out the darkness. Only light can do that. Hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that. So get out there. Try to love someone today. Little love from us here at the OH Report out to you. Enjoy your MLK Day. And I guess we still got some games to talk about. We got one coming up tonight, right? So we're not done yet.
Yeah,
Let's talk about what we got going on this week at the OH Report. Tonight, before we jump into Tuesday, we are going to have a live and free game down at the Cove. Cardington Lincoln is going to be hosting River Valley, Trav. You're going to be there.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one. Cardington Lincoln, 65-0 in the KMAC since joining the KMAC a few years ago. G and I got to see them on the Beth Hardwick buzzer beater against Northmore, the closest game that they've had since joining the KMAC. They're going to go up against the tough River Valley squad that gave Clear Fork fits in their first game and almost pulled off the upset again in the second game. But I know, G, you're looking forward to this one.
Yeah, River Valley 4-4 in the MOAC, but they're undefeated outside of league play. So they're coming in, and they might be able to upset the Pirates and steal the loot and take the shit, but we'll never know.
And I believe it's like over almost close to 50 or over 50 game regular season win streak as well for Cardington. So a lot of storylines going into this one.
Yeah, they're undefeated. You can catch that live and free right here beginning at 7:30. Now let's see what's going down tomorrow. Tuesday night, jam-packed action. We're going to have Lucas over at Crestview taking on the Cougars inside of the Den. And I know that Crestview, they got off to a nice start. They dropped like 4 or 5 games in a row, and I think they're starting to get it going again, right? So this could be a fun game.
Yeah, starting to pick up the momentum again. Lucas, a team that's always good no matter what, it seems. For some reason, they just have really, really good luck over there. And Crestview, a team that's on the up and up, or that was on the down low, but like you said, picking it back up. Should be a good one out at the Cougars Den.
And then also, it's actually not going to be a highlight over at Northmore. We're going to have that one live and free for you guys. The Indians taking on the Golden Knights. Travis over at the Castle. I know that you're happy to be back over there. See them in action at home.
Well, hopefully I'm happy to be here. Every game I've covered them this year, they've lost.
Oh, maybe they're not happy to see you.
Hopefully the jinx. Hopefully the jinx will be off. But a rivalry game, they lost 79-70 in overtime at Mount Gilead earlier this year, so they want to go for payback against their rivals that are just about 5-10 miles down the road. So it'll be yet another big one. In the Golden Knights, if they want to get back on track, they want to get back towards a top seed in their district, they're going to need to start winning some games, and number one would be hopefully against Mount Gilead on Tuesday night.
And then I'm going to be over at Madison to see if the Rams can keep it going. They've won 6 out of their last 7. This was a team I think early on we were kind of writing off in the OCC. They're getting hot. Lexington, meanwhile, they just lost both of their games on Friday and Saturday night. So that's going to be a really intriguing game. Hopefully Coach Armstrong gives me a call here soon. I'd like to get some locker room access for you guys, take you close and personal with the Rams tomorrow night. Now moving on to Wednesday. How about some more live games for you guys? Colonel Crawford, state ranked number 2 in Division III. They are going to be on the road taking on Cary. I'm going to be on the call for that one along with Lynn Passett. So, hey, Cary, they just lost their last game, but they had won a couple in a row before that. I know that they really handled Seneca East, so this is a team that's finally probably getting their basketball legs underneath them and expecting that they're going to have a much better game than we saw when we were over there a couple weeks ago for the Mohawk game. Margaretta versus Willard, gentlemen, G-Man and Storm, you guys are going to be seeing this one, right?
Yeah, I've seen Willard against Huron, obviously a team that a perennial powerhouse, but having a down year this year, and they're pretty familiar with Margaretta, so you can never count out a team that's been there and experienced. So they might be able to upset Margaretta at home. I guess we'll see, though. It's going to be a very tall task.
And then, Hayden, you're going to be over at Lexington, maybe for a bloodbath. I don't know. I was trying to think of a positive spin on this one. Shelby's pretty good. Kind of undefeated, I think, right?
Yeah, undefeated and a couple 55, 60-plus point victories on the year for the Lady Whippets. Not going to say that it's got to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised to see quite the victory for the Lady Whippets.
And a big shout-out to the girl, Olivia Baker. Just dropped 1,000 over the weekend, and you made a great tribute video to her. So, yeah, congratulations, OB, for stepping up, having a big game. And she needed some clutch points at the end of that one to go over the 1,000. On Thursday, I don't know if we're talking about that, but we're going to have a few different things for you guys. We're going to have the area stat leaders. We're going to have recipes for success. That's going to be back with our dude G-Man. We're going to be rolling out a brand new segment, too, called The Eye of the Storm with your guy right over here, Storm Blunchley. So those should all be fun. And then on Friday night, I believe all those games that you had up there are our Friday night games. Still thinking about Ontario versus Clear Fork. I know that the Lady Warriors kind of down this year. Clear Fork's having a fantastic season. We will have Galleon at Shelby. Going to have a highlight for that one. And the girls, G-Man's going to have Madison at Ashland. So you get a chance to see Luke Dembo again. And then maybe Madison can be coming off of a huge win over Lexington. That one should be fun. West Holmes at Mansfield Senior. We're going to have a live stream there, too, over at Pete Henry. Brian Harder, Greg Collins going to be on the call for that one. And then Crestview at Western Reserve. Me and Travis going to get a chance to go over there and see these undefeated Rough Riders in action.
And update, we just got the updated AP poll in boys. Lexington drops out of the top 10 to 13th.
That's fair.
Colonel Crawford gains points on number 1 Versailles. They're still number 2, but they're only 21 votes behind. They were about 40 going into the week.
Gotcha.
And at number 4 now, the biggest jumper in Division III, Western Reserve, 13-0. Just sitting behind Lutheran East at number 4. So number 2 and number 4 in the air in the state come from North Central Ohio, and both coaches with the last name of Sheldon.
Yeah, no surprise there that they're having some success. Those two are phenomenal. And then on Saturday, more action coming your way. We're going to have some highlights going down. Mansfield Senior at Lexington, big OCC game. Lady Tigers, you know, they've been off for a couple of weeks. I know they just got back to action with a win the other night. So we'll see if they can get it done against Lexington. Marion Harding at Shelby boys. Hayden, you know, the two top contenders right now tied in the league.
Yeah, it wasn't the best sample size. Time I did see Marion Harding play in person, though, the boys was against Clear Fork, and I was really impressed. They're a really athletic squad, so they should be able to keep up with the tempo and pace that Shelby likes to run with. So it's a big one if Shelby wants to get some space to win it outright, or if Harding wants to make it interesting.
And then right now we have it down as a highlight for Seneca East at Upper Sandusky, but we're thinking about hopefully wanting to do that one live. I'm going to reach out to the athletic director tomorrow, and if the asking price isn't too high, we are going to be over there. We not making too many chips on the game, so hopefully Mr. Ersman understands that we're just trying to come out there and bring it to you guys. If nothing else, I'll be over there and I'll make a highlight for you guys. So lots coming this week on the OH Report, like you expected anything less. All right. I think that's it, right? Travis, last word? Woohoo!
How about that? Catch me outside. How about that?
The zone.
Yeah, and run the worst zone in basketball, please.